Okay. Okay, and we are live on YouTube. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. I'm an astrologer, coach, and intuitive, and today I'm going to talk about the new moon in Virgo. Now, if you're watching this live on YouTube, I cannot see the comments because I'm working through Zoom because I'm going to present slides. So you can write in the comments, not in the chat, write in the comments, and I will check back this weekend some point and answer any questions if I didn't get to anything. But let's get going. I'm trying to be more efficient here in Virgo season. I'm doing all kinds of things where I am integrating new processes to be more streamlined and make better use of my time and whatnot. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. So I'm titling this Get Organized, this Virgo new moon, and it has several meanings for what I'm going to talk about this afternoon. So again, I'm Celeste Brooks. I'm an astrologer, coach, and intuitive. I'm a Taurus sun, Aries moon, and a Cancer rising. Yes, I am. And I love this quote by Benjamin Franklin. I just love him. I think he would be like an amazing dinner guest with all of his witticisms and practical advice that he loves to give. But for every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned. And it is so true. Getting ourselves together, stopping rather than just like doing things like as an avalanche of things come at us. And it feels like time is moving so fast these days that if we stop, get organized, put in systems and processes to be more efficient and productive, that gives us time back in order to, be more blissful in our lives. And this is all about Virgo energy. So what we're going to talk about is the archetype, the new moon, the dates, the key dates, the astrology chart, as well as I'm going to talk about some mundane astrology, the astrology of worldly events, and then what the new moon means for you based on your sun and rising sign. Great. So, you can't see all my little things. So Virgo, the I am statement is I serve with a Virgo. It is a mutable earth sign, but it is the airiest of the earth signs because it is ruled by the planet Mercury, the winged messenger. And Mercury in Virgo functions so well because it has this ability to, like I was talking about, build these systems and be systematic, be organized. And it rules the sixth house of daily life and health. The sixth house also rules pets. It also rules employees. And yeah, but we think mostly about daily life and health, our routines and our rituals, the things that we do to serve our partners as well as ourselves in order to live our best lives on a daily mundane type basis. So some key words around Virgo is caring, dedication, efficiency, meticulous, organized. These are all the high roads of Virgo. Being perfectionistic, critical, overly critical, or anxious can be some of the shadow sides of Virgo. And with anxious, all that mutable earth, like constantly trying to make things better because you're worried about the outcome, that's the anxiety that can be seen with Virgo energy. Some archetypes are the priestess. And I love to think about kind of like the medicine woman who is taking herbs from the earth and other things and or flowers, herbs, whatever, and putting together poultices or whatever in order to heal. Yeah, the helper. Virgo is a sign that really does want to be of service and help others and be useful. The martyr and the maiden are also archetypes, as well as the analyst and the perfectionist. And so we have every month, we have the 4 main phases. There are 8 phases, but 4 are really the hard aspects that it is best to work with. I mean, you can work with all 8, but that can get to be a bit much. So I, for myself, like to work with the main 4. The new moon, where the sun and moon come together. The first quarter moon, where the moon pulls ahead of the sun by 90 degrees, forming a hard aspect, a square. The full moon, sun and moon are opposite. You have the full illumination. And the last quarter moon is more like a crisis of consciousness, where there's lessons learned, and then we come back to another new moon. And so you can work with this in each month, where you like really push things forward, where the light is waxing or growing during the new moon to the full moon, and then kind of let go, disseminate, release energy as we move back from the full moon to the new moon and the light starts to wane. But there are also these, and for the month is like smaller projects you can get done in a month, but we also have these larger cycles. It's called the lunar gestational cycles. It's called the moon phase families, where around the same degree will be activated. So your chart, you will have a natal excitation at approximately the same degree every 9 months at a different one of these phases. So we are at the new moon at 14 degrees of Virgo. 9 months from now, we'll be in a Gemini season, and the moon will be at 16 Virgo, and it will be a square. So things that start now, things that you set intentions of and be really purposeful about moving forward, you will see them really have grown and blossomed and they'll have some like presence out in the world by next June. And yeah, and things that are starting in your life that you have no idea also will pop into your life in June. So especially if you have any planets or points near about this 10 to 16, 17 Virgo, you may see this is more impactful in your life. And I should say not just Virgo, any of the mutable signs. So that would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, if you have planets or points around there being activated. By points, I mean the ascendant, midheaven, descendant, IC, or the nodes are big ones, as well as asteroids can pop things into our lives as well. So yeah, there's this larger story that unfolds over 27 months. It's great for larger projects that need like a long time to work on. And yeah, using this energy intentionally can really help you have success in your life. I use these energies in order to transition from my 20 plus corporate career. I retired early, and I am a full-time astrologer, coach, and intuitive. And I work very deliberately with these moon phases in order to juggle. How I did it, I don't know, but I do know, but it amazes even myself that, that I was able to do this by, really intentionally working with the moon cycles and focusing in areas that make the most sense for my natal chart. Okay, so let's talk about this chart of this new moon. This is a really powerful, potent new moon on Monday, September 6th. It looks simple on the surface, but there's a lot of intricacy to this new moon. So I love, love, love how this new moon is interacting with the Saturn-Uranus square, which is the call of this year about we're all called to release old structures, discard old duty-bound activities or themes, and make new changes based on like being awakened to new things. So yeah, this hard square. So it's out with the old and in with the new with the Saturn-Uranus square. And like Leo season was real bumpy because Saturn's in Aquarius, Uranus is in Taurus, both fixed signs. Leo is a fixed sign. And then like we were coming up, very interesting. If you've journaled, it'll be really interesting for you to see how you react differently to Leo season versus Scorpio season, because Leo season was all the planets kind of one by one came up and opposed Saturn. So it felt like someone opposing you was maybe trying to hold you back or causing delays or restrictions, and then squared off with Uranus. So then there was like a release where you could either break down or break through. And Scorpio season, what we're going to see is all the planets are going to square Saturn. So maybe there'll just be this internal frustration or like attempts to stop someone else. It'll be really interesting for people to see how this works in their lives. And then this oppositional Uranian force where maybe someone else will be the cause of you having to break through or make changes or what have you, because oppositions are typically other people where squares are internal. Yeah, really interesting to see that. But anyway, back to this Virgo moon, the Virgo new moon at 14 degrees of Virgo on Monday. So here is the Virgo new moon. It's in this relationship called a biquintile with Saturn. Now, biquintiles, apologies, are 144 degrees, and this is pretty exact. And these are grace notes. These are soft aspects. They're called minor aspects, but I really love them because it allows you to synthesize these really different energies in unique ways. I love to think of them as some kind of grace note. And so with the sun and the moon, we're talking about our conscious and our subconscious mind, desires and things, how we want to present ourselves out in the world, as well as how we need to be nurtured. And Saturn's structure. Saturn is structure. Saturn is duty. Saturn's restrictions is also, Saturn is like brings things down into the physical world. And with the Saturn being Aquarius, it's like things about have to do with how we relate, how we serve Virgo, the collective Aquarius. So really think about unique ways to work with this energy. And the new moon is also trine Uranus. So there is like a smooth pathway for change with a trine versus the trine is a soft aspect versus, you know, what we dealt with last month where these hard squares. Yeah. So really be interesting to see how you can really use this beautiful energy. I have been just on a tear with getting myself organized, putting in new systems. It has like been so freeing to go from Leo season into Virgo season and being able to use this incredible mutable earth energy in positive ways. There's also this thing called a mystic rectangle, and a mystic rectangle is when you have two sextiles on one side and two trines on the other side. And what they do is allow the planets, there's also two oppositions, helps smooth that oppositional energy and helps integrate. And when people have these in their chart, there's also often something fated about the path they're going to take or the work they're going to do in the world. But yeah, it can be really helpful. So this mystic rectangle, I want to spend a little time on this. So Mercury is in Libra, and I think Mercury is so important this month. It's so important about the mundane astrology. I'm going to, spoiler alert, talk about the Texas law about Roe v. Wade. Mercury is in Libra. So Libra is a sign of partnership. It's a sign of, fairness and balance. Lots of lawyers have strong Libra signatures. Mercury in Libra. I can think about the courts, the Supreme Court. Very, very interesting. So Mercury is the planet that's really in my opinion, at the core of all this. Now, if we look at this, so Mercury is opposite Chiron in Aries. So Mercury in Libra opposite Chiron in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. So with this energy, you can choose to take separate sides, especially in your relationship, and have conflict that leads with wounding, or you can synthesize as well this. So Juno is an asteroid about relationships. Juno was the goddess of marriage, Zeus's wife, long suffering anyway, but she's in Sagittarius, and she is opposing Ceres. So we talked about this one last month, I believe, or at the full moon, where this opposition is about, how we need to be nurtured versus the partner. Ceres is the goddess of agriculture, but she was the Roman goddess whose daughter was stolen by Pluto and taken to Hades in order to be his wife. This mythology explains the seasons. When her daughter was taken from her, she would it would be winter time, and then when Persephone came home, then the spring and the harvest and everything grows again. So it also has to do with the life-death cycle. But Ceres rules fertility as well, and motherhood and women's rights and children's rights and all these kinds of things. And so there's this opposition here. Now, if you look, you see Mercury in Libra's sextiling Juno in Sagittarius and coming in for a trine with Chiron in Aries, sextiling Ceres in Gemini. And so, so this their fire and air energies in this sextile. So think about how you can take action that's more healing, where both sides can be heard, where you can have collaboration, where you can talk through issues in order to have more harmonious relationships with open communication. That's what I see with that mystic rectangle. There's also Venus. It's really fascinating that Venus and Vesta, who's the asteroid goddess of the hearth and the eternal flame. Vesta has also been thought to be been talked about being the potential ruler of Virgo, because it also speaks to the Vestal virgins, who are the keepers of the flame and the hearth, and it has a lot to do with community. And both of these are on, and Venus, obviously goddess of love, about relationships, how we magnetize things to us. Venus is at home in Libra. And so I like the fact that they're both conjunct and they are on two fixed stars, Arcturus and Spica. And Spica is one of the brightest stars and speaks to brilliance or brilliant insights. And Arcturus is the pathfinder. It's so interesting. This is really a great time if you have had to change your career, to really think about how you're going to course correct, how you're going to make changes and put together a plan in order to move forward. Because with Arcturus energy, that pathfinder, Venus is also about money, figuring out how to make step changes, make big adjustments in order to get a new career is something I think, or make, like add different services to whatever you do or whatever. I think you can really use that energy. I wrote down here, brilliant insights to navigate relationships, but also can be about how you wealth generation. Yeah. But yeah, find new paths. Taurus can help you find new paths while remaining devoted to each other in the partnership. And this can be any kind of relationship. Vesta is about sisters as well, so the sisterhood. And Venus can be about friendships as well, not just love relationships or any kind of relationship. Okay. And there's also Mars trine Pluto. I love this. It's to this exact degree. So, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, and Mars is the planet of action. It's a planet of executive abilities. It's a planet of drive. It's about getting what you want. And in Virgo, figuring out how you're going to get organized, how you're going to serve, how you're going to optimize and plan details. And like Pluto's like putting a nuclear power plant on your back. So really, there's a lot of energy and available if this is working synergistically with your chart. If you've got a lot of earth energy, yeah, this is really, really nice, which I do because I am a Taurus. Yeah. So I really, really like this. Lots of really positive things, as well as Pallas Athene. So every single asteroid is involved in this chart. I just love it. And the asteroid goddesses are feminine energy. They're the divine feminine, because with the planets, and we talk about the sun and the moon in astrology as calling them planets, even though they're the luminaries. The moon and Venus are the only feminine planets. So bringing in these 4 asteroids really fleshes out a story with more feminine energy. So I love this. So, and the fact that Pallas Athene is next to Neptune in Pisces, that can bring really creative strategies. I love that Venus is trining Libra. Venus is trining Jupiter, the planet of abundance and good fortune. So there's really, I love that. I think there's positive energy to bring in with that. Now, Venus is also squaring Pluto, but so there can be relationship struggles, triangulation, power struggles within oneself, subconscious discomfort with expressing one's femininity. There's all sorts of ways this can present. But anyway, I am seeing this as power struggles between women and authorities with what's going on in Texas. And also this Eris-Pluto square, which is exact. I think it's exact on September 24th, but don't quote me. But this has been going on since the beginning of COVID. The fact that Pluto, the lord of the underworld, about the life, death, resurrection cycle. So everything involved with that, like sexuality, birth. Yeah. So interesting that the government is trying to destroy a woman's life. Well, the Texas government trying to destroy the woman's right to choose, for Venus to, make choices. Mercury's also in Libra. And so Venus is opposite Eris, and Eris is the goddess of discord. And her mythology is she threw an apple into a party where there were several goddesses, like 3 goddesses, and said that it should go to the most beautiful goddess. And what the hell did they care who the most beautiful was? It was like Aphrodite and Athena, and I can't remember who the other one was. What anyway, they fought over this. They diminished themselves by fighting over this apple, and eventually it caused the whole Trojan War being started. So, like this discord, this chaos, this mass destruction started, where Eris can bring things to life. And so Venus is opposite Eris. They're both squaring Pluto. I see this about like this action will really mobilize women and people to with righteous anger about what is going on and starting good trouble to fight back against what is going on. I see that is that. So there's also something that's called a hammer of Thor here. And so I've talked about this. If you go to my Instagram, I talked about this with Scarlett Johansson. She has one of these in her chart. But what in this chart, what it is Ceres is at the apex. And if you think about Thor's hammer, like the Viking god would hold this hammer and then fling it and like cause mass destruction. So I see this as yeah, we have Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, very related into fertility as well, as I mentioned, and motherhood and all of this kind of stuff. And she's in what's called a sesquiquadrate to Pluto, as well as to Venus, and it's pretty exact. And Pluto and Venus are in a square formation. So this is the handle, about fertility. And this, Pluto Venus square, this is really a hard aspect, big energy where someone can get really knocked out by it. And so I see this as that women are going to get it's Virgo season, new moon in Virgo, get organized, mobilize, and fight against what's going on, where this state is trying to, force women who have been raped and victims of incest to have children, and taking away their rights to make their own choices about their bodies and fertilities at such an early point in the pregnancy that a lot of women don't know they're pregnant. And the thing that's the sickest about this whole thing is about how there's like this surveillance system where people from anywhere around the world can, or at least in the country, can have standing to sue a clinic or something for providing abortion services. Yeah, it's some real sick, twisted stuff. And yeah, I see this as Mercury square Pluto. And so what's happening is this month, one of the big features is that Mercury is going retrograde in the sign of Libra. So yeah, so it's going to be, and it's stationing right at, I think it's 25 degrees of Libra, and it'll be in a square to Pluto. So the Mercury retrograde begins with a square to Pluto, begins with the fight against the government, Pluto and Capricorn, about this stuff. Yeah. So I believe that, really gathering information, getting organized, and getting ready to fight the fight. I think with the astrology, I find it hard to believe that, well, we'll see. But Venus is at home in Libra, so she's at her strongest. So yeah, and with Mercury retrograde in Libra, even though it hasn't even started yet, the decision came down like at the early days of Mercury being in Libra, and we're going to be treading old ground. Things are going to be revised, revisited. Yeah, even though the Supreme Court wouldn't take it up, that maybe something's going to happen where I don't know, Congress is going to pass a law or something that's going to, if there's enough political pressure, there's going to be some kind of change around this, at least my hope. But you can really see the story of this. I'm going to post later the chart of Roe v. Wade on the inside, and the chart of the third quarter moon, which is we're under now, which when this law was passed, was really activating the chart of Roe v. Wade. The south node was on Roe v. Wade's Neptune, and the south node, like the south node, is the cosmic vacuum cleaner. It sucks things out. I think of Neptune around the compassion over people who are having to make really unpleasant, difficult choices because they either aren't ready for motherhood, can't afford it, just don't want it, whatever, but happen to get pregnant. Yeah, really interesting. So yeah, so this Saturnian control over fertility. So it's like the government in the Saturn-Uranus square. The government's doing something Uranian based on the law of the land. I mean, many experts are talking about how this law is illegal, but they've funny worded it and tried to get it through, but it goes against the Constitution. So using a Uranian approach to get around Saturnian laws to get this passed is how I see this. But this new moon invites sisters Vesta to unite to fight the power struggles attempting to dominate. Domination is Pluto, and women Venus. So that's Venus, Pluto. Venus is squaring Pluto, Vesta squaring Pluto. Yeah, I see this as a real opportunity around this for people to unite and mobilize. So the Sabian symbol for this new moon is a fine lace ornamental handkerchief. Oh, and I had some notes about this. But anyway, think about what you do with a handkerchief. You cry your tears into it. It can also be given as a token of like something fine and refined and lovely as a gift. When men would go off to war, their wives would like give them a perfume scented handkerchief and things like that. But I see this as an opportunity to, to unite and to mobilize. And you can think about, rather than putting the tears into that handkerchief, putting the energy, Mars trine Pluto, into making your sign or what have you, or writing your congressman, your congresswoman, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I wrote something really nice down about that, but here we are. So now what we're going to do is talk about each of the signs and what house is being impacted and by this new moon. And then you can look at your sun and your rising sign. And I'm going to just give you some food for thought. And I'm going to pull a card for each zodiac sign for this new moon. So if you are a Virgo sun or rising, this new moon falls into your first house. And the first house is a house of identity. It's the self, it's your brand, it's you. So you can think about making all kinds of changes in order to get more organized, more efficient, to bring routines or rituals into your daily life, things like that. Think about all the Virgo topics that you can be thinking about for yourself in order to be the best you can be. And so the card I pulled for Virgo is Truth Be Told, and in the protection position. So it's upside down. So this is about getting out of denial. So Virgo, your Virgo rising, you probably, is there something that you need to get real with yourself about your daily habits, or something that you need to discard, or about being overly critical of yourself? If you just ride yourself all the time, And don't think about the good things about yourself. I want you to put down a list of all your positive qualities and think about how much time you spend dealing in the negative qualities, or surface negative stuff even. Yeah, think about that, Virgo and Virgo rising. And yeah, and get out of denial in anything in your life. So if you're a Leo or Leo rising, this new moon is in your second house, and it's a yang. So it's Leo's. Now is the time to take action. Last month, you were coming up against Saturn, delays, restrictions. The breakthrough has happened. So think about how you want to take action, how you want to make money moves. The second house is about our possessions, our how we make money, how we bring money to ourselves. It's also about our values. Yeah, you can take a leadership role in perhaps mobilizing your sisterhood. Yeah, so if you're a Cancer, it's in the house of siblings, early life, communication, networking, things like that. Think about those topics. Things near your really local neighborhood or community. Oh, chaos and conflicts. This is like the stuff happens card. Get into the chaos, roll with it, see how you can work with it. It's the Uranus card, Cancer. So Uranus is in a sextile to Cancer, to your sun or your rising. And yeah, think about how you're going to, especially since this is all about Cancer rules fertility and all this, this Texas law is about trying to take control over women's fertility, what you're going to do for your future generations, yourself, your daughters, their daughters, what have you. Okay. And so the Gemini rules the fourth house. Not rules the fourth house. Gemini, this new moon is in your fourth house, excuse me. So of home, family, and foundations. Building blocks and protection. So this is about fixing your foundations. Now, Gemini energy, one of the things, it's ruled by Mercury as well. It can get really scattered. So, and Gemini squares Virgo. So this is a good opportunity to realize where you are scattering your energy and how can you be more organized? How can you be more efficient? What systems can you put in place to keep you from going squirrel, 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 squirrel? I have Mars and Venus in Gemini, so I know of what I speak about this energy. And so maybe you just need to declutter your home, Gemini, clean it up. Yeah. Okay. Taurus, this is in your fifth house. So this is the house of romance, creativity, children, fun, like how you just bring pleasure to yourself. Yeah. So Taurus, the recommendation is to breathe. So Uranus is in Taurus, and it's been a lot of energy. It is like having yourself kind of at times like you're plugged into a light socket, has been my experience of that, and like really dispelling the negative energy or the overstimulation that can come from this by, taking an Epsom salt bath is a great thing to do with this. I took baths every day that moon was in Cancer. Now the moon right now is in Leo. But yeah, think about that. Think about how can you breathe? Go for a walk in nature. Just meditate. Do something to think about that with the fifth house of fun. That maybe your fun needs to be, taking time out, going within, calming your anxious mind if you have some anxiousness with Uranus there, and relax. It gives us a little break with the Saturn Uranus square because it softens. Well, I guess it softens that Uranus energy. Not really. Whatever. Well, the new moon supports it. Yes, it's in a trine. It softens it. Okay. Let's see. If you are an Aries, this is in your 6th house of daily life and health. So about routines and rituals. What can you do to bring in new routines and rituals to support your daily life, health, the other bad habits you need to get rid of and stuff like that, or new positive good habits you'd like to start doing? Oh, Aries, this is mending. So this is the forgiveness card. So this could be about like, did you say something? Because Aries likes to sometimes can be impulsive. Do you just need to say, I'm sorry? Or do you need to forgive someone for something they did? Yeah, that's your message. So think about that in terms of that Virgo nature. Yeah. And Aries and Virgo are signs which are called kink unks. So they don't really understand each other. Because Aries is ruled by Mars about, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get what I want. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury. I'm going to be cautious and think about how what I do impacts others. So very different energies. So this is a really good time, Aries, to think about connecting into that Virgo I serve energy and maybe learning some things about that this month. Mm-hmm. Okay, Pisces, this is in your 7th house of the other, of the partner, of marriage, of business partnerships. It's also open enemies. Let's see. Time to go in protection. So this is really about sometimes it's time for things to go out of our lives, and knowing when that's the case, and yeah, not fighting against something that needs to leave. Or, and this really reminds me of that, if you love someone, let them go. If they come back to you, whatever, or I'm like a bird, I'll only fly away. Yeah, this kind of energy. So if you hold on too tight, yeah, you'll suffocate them. So let it go. If it is meant to be, it will come back to you. Okay. Now we're to the 8th house of the deep psychological processes. It speaks to about the basement, about the, our shadows, sex, death, taxes. Aquarius, this is where this new moon is for you. You can think about wealth building with this energy, Aquarius. So divine timing. So tick tock. So think about the timeliness of life. Saturn's in your sign, and Saturn's a timekeeper. Every 7 years, Saturn comes to talk to us. So if you are a Saturn, if you're an Aquarius sun or rising, you're going to be dealing with Saturn touching your points during the next couple of years, as Saturn is in Aquarius till 2023, but you probably already feeling it. Yeah. So think about the timeliness of life. Think about what you're doing with your time. Think about what you've learned over the last 7 years since Saturn was in Scorpio, and what you've learned since then. That's deep. Yeah. Yeah. What is your karma? Saturn's all about karma too. What are the lessons you have learned over this time? Yeah. Okay. So Capricorn, this is your 9th house of travel, higher learning, broadcasting, publishing, philosophy, religion, all these kinds of topics. This new moon in Virgo. If you're a Capricorn sun or a rising. Let's see, what's your card? Milk and honey, abundance. So yeah, just think about like having gratitude, counting your blessings, enjoying life. Like you could take a rest, stop climbing that mountain for a few minutes, take a rest, enjoy the abundance. Maybe take a class to improve your skills around something, just for the joy of it. Yes, I love that. Okay, and Sagittarius, your 10th house of career. So it's really a good time to think about, your social status, your purpose, your calling. think things about that big story. Yeah, the South Node has been in your sign. You've got a few more months left. And yeah, you're supposed to be shedding old dogmatic stories. We all are, bringing in new information. So this is a great new moon to like put some new systems in place based on what you've been discarding and how you've been changing things. And to be fair and protection. I'm sure there's a lot of, this is the Libra card. I'm sure there's a lot of Sagittariuses who are outraged by these by the Texas law I was just talking about, and like maybe think about how you can, yeah, how you can get involved in the fight, or think about just how you can be more fair with others. Sometimes Sagittarius can be a little too blunt, and yeah, people get their feelings hurt. So think about that, or think about, yeah, this is about like you're going to see an injustice around you and you may be called to help. So I think, yeah, think about that. Okay, now we're on to Scorpio. This is the friends, social groups, 11th house. And you have, it's so great when you have a new moon in your 11th house. You have it once or maybe twice a year, depending how big. Well, I guess it could be more depending on how big your 11th house is, depending on where you were born. But anyway, yes. This is a great time to just make new moon wishes. Just call in what you want, Scorpio. Like as soon as like that new moon hits, just to start calling in what you want. I mean, you can do the actions too, but sometimes fortunate things can just happen when you have a new moon in your 11th house. Here and now in the protection position. So this is about staying present. When we think too much about the past or get into nostalgia, we leak power, and when we're too anxious about the future. So it's about staying present now, getting stuff done now, Scorpio. Take a rest on the strategizing for the future and just stay present and focus on right now with this energy. Yes. And then last but not least is Libra. Libra is about being the observer. So interesting with Venus in your sign. And Venus is really, as I was talking, about the signature of this new moon, Venus is really being activated during this moon with the square to Pluto, conjunct the fixed stars, conjunct Vesta. Yeah, really, really opposite Eris. Really a time to step back and watch what is happening, Libra. You're going to be going, Mercury retrograde is happening in your sign. So really will give you an opportunity to think about how you've been in relationship with your whole life. Think about where you've been people pleasing or letting things, not speaking your truth, or just so focused on others, you're not focused on yourself. Think about how you can focus on yourself for your daily life and health and habits. And yes, I like that a lot. Okay, that's that. And then, so for a new moon ritual, I really recommend that you take some time, make space, carve some time out on Monday. You might want to carve some time out with some people to plan how you're going to mobilize and what have you. But anyway, bring in all 4 elements of fire, earth, air, and water. I like a candle, some crystals. I always have flowers on my table where I do my contemplations and meditations and card pulling. I like to journal, and I arrange my journal by the moon phases, by the main 4. And as well with the water, you can bring in with oracle cards, tarot, or just some meditation. Here are just some thoughts on setting intentions and some prompts for journaling, oracle cards, or contemplation. So who and what am I devoted to? So with Vesta, yeah, think about what you're devoted to. How do you serve? What changes are needed? Think about how you can improve relationships for more win-win outcomes. As I said, Venus in Libra is really important. Mercury is going to retrograde in Libra. So think about, negotiating win-win strategies. Yeah. And what processes or systems or what have you can make you more organized, more efficient, more productive, all these kinds of things. And what routines and rituals will improve my daily life and health? I am going to go on a, no alcohol for the month of the new moon in Virgo. I had said that for all of Virgo season, but then my sweet little sweet pea died and that went out the window, but we're getting back on track on Monday with that. Getting more sleep, getting to bed earlier for me. Yeah. Doing more meditation too. There's a lot I should do. Okay. And then these are the resources. I have Setting Intentions with the Moon Guide on my website. You go to Astrology by Celeste and scroll down and you can just grab this guide, and it has talks some more depth about working with the moon, and has worksheets for the full moon, for this new moon, as well as the dates and places to do entries for the first quarter phase in 9 months, full moon 9 months after that, and last quarter phase. So Dietrich Pessin wrote an article. You could just Google it about these longer cycles if you're still unclear. And Moonology is a great reference, a great book for suggestions on things to do at the new and the full moon. And Linda Hill wrote this amazing book about the Sabian symbols, where, excuse me, I'm thirsty. This clairvoyant sat under a tree, Elsie Wheeler, with Mark Edmund Jones, an astrologer, and channeled images for each of the 360 zodiac signs. You can just Google Sabian symbols and you Google the one for your sun, moon, and rising. At least you can do all your planets, and you read 1 degree up. So if you're a 20 degree Virgo, you would read the one for 21 degrees Virgo. Yeah. Very fascinating, often really fit with what's happening and what goes on in your life. Great. I always use Solar Fire software and recommend Rex Bills for rulerships, and the Archetypal Universe for Ren Butler to understand the synthesis of the energies. So where to find me? There's my website. You can subscribe to, I do bi-monthly newsletters on mostly about the moon, but talk about other stuff, and send my membership goodies here and there, keep you updated. You won't miss out on, I do offer free events and things. And so you can also join the Moon Mastery Program waitlist. And I think I'm going to launch it again in January. I had to put it off because I was getting these messages to put it off. I had planned to start in September. And now I know why, because my little sweet pea passed on. And yeah, I would be in no shape to be teaching with all the other things I'm doing. You can also book a reading, an event, or a coaching program. I've got, as I mentioned, 20 plus years in corporate, and I love helping people with understanding their astrological signature, seeing their midheaven, where you meet the world. You can also look on my YouTube channel. We did something about the midheaven, and it can really talk about how you can elevate yourself. I do in the coaching, how you can elevate yourself to really live your purpose in your midheaven. Also, Instagram Live Sundays, and Mondays has to change to 11 a.m. I've got a commitment on Mondays at 9 a.m. now. So yeah, it's Sundays at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. But follow me on Instagram. Besides YouTube, that's my main platform. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, drop it in the comments. And yes, have a restful weekend. We're now in the balsamic phase. Now is the time to rest. On Monday, we mobilize and we get going. Yes, have a good one.